I now want to get into understanding the concepts of utilizing a migration versus rebuilding. All right, so I want to just kind of draw this out and help you visualize this. So let me just move this up here. So to start with, let's talk about migration. All right, in regards to a migration, you kind of want to look at it from the standpoint there's two ways of looking at it. In fact, Microsoft has a tool called the user state migration tool that's part of the Windows ADK that's free, that'll help you with the migration. And the idea of migration is basically backing up everything somewhere, like on a user's machine, and then being able to restore that information to a new operating system perhaps that you're installing. So you got an old version of Windows, maybe you're going to put a new version of Windows on there. So let's say we've got this computer here, and we've got an older version of Windows on there. Okay, so we'll say old Windows. All right. It could be that this is a laptop, you know, or it could be a desktop. Either way, and you've got an old version of Windows on there, and the user's got all of their stuff, or what we call the user state, right? Now, the user state is all of your user's documents, desktop settings, shortcuts, screensaver, wallpaper, whatever. All of that stuff is here. Their email, all of that stuff is on this machine on their old version of Windows. Now, first, you kind of have to look at it from this standpoint. Is the user getting a new machine, or are you just doing a new operating system? All right, that's the question. Now, if you're doing a new operating system, perhaps you could just do what's called an in-place upgrade. An in-place upgrade is just an upgrade to the newer operating system. Now, there's a catch to that. Then the catch to that is, what if you got a lot of problems with this Windows? What if there's a lot of issues? Maybe you've got some corrupted files and things like that. And if you upgrade to the new version of Windows, the corrupted files maybe that are involved in the applications that are on the machine will make their way into the new operating system. So maybe we don't want to do that. Maybe we don't want to do an upgrade. So we've chosen to do a migration. Okay. So with that, you can, if you decided you wanted to, you could just get rid of the old version of Windows that's here and migrate to the new version of Windows that's here. All right. Now, the great thing about that is I can retain my user's information if I want. All right. If I want to retain my user's data, I can totally do that. Their user state, all of their data, all of their settings and all that, I can back all that up, blow away the machine that's there, blow away the operating system that's there, and then put a new operating system on there if I want, and then I can restore that data back to what's on the machine. Now, keep in mind that when you do a migration, you will still have to reinstall their applications. It doesn't back up their applications, but it does back up their application settings. It does back up their data and all of that stuff. All right. So I have that ability. Now, there's a couple of different ways of looking at migrate. You have what's called a side-by-side migration and a wipe and load migration. Now, if you're going to keep this older machine, you're not going to be getting a new machine. You're just going to keep the older machine and put a new version of Windows on there. Then that would be known as a wipe and load migration. Wipe and load. Wipe and load. All right. So the idea would be you're just going to be backing up the user's data. So we'll back up state. This is called, in user state migration terms, we call this a scan state. There's actually an executable called scanstate.exe that you get with the USMT user state migration tool, which comes with Windows ADK, Windows Assessment and Deployment Toolkit, which again is free. You download it off Microsoft's website, but I'm not getting into doing that right now. I'm just trying to help you understand these concepts first here. But we back up the state, right? And then at that point, we wipe away the old operating system. So whatever the operating system is, we blow it away. And by the way, when you back up the user state, you can choose where to back it up to. If you want to back up the user state to a flash drive, you want to back it up to across the network to a server, you can totally do that. external hard drive, whatever it may be. You're just going to back up the user state. You use this scan state tool to do that, and you wipe away the old operating system. All right. At that point, you would install the new operating system. So you put new version of Windows on there, and at that point, you restore the state, and that would be what we call a load state. All right, it's called a load state. So you back up the state using scan state, wipe away the old operating system, install the new operating system, and then restore state. So that is what we call a wipe and load migration. Now you've also got what is called a side-by-side migration, and so the idea there is, and I'm just going to cheat and copy this right here. All right, so you got an old computer. So we'll say this is a old PC, all right? And then you've got a new PC, all right? So this is going to be our new PC over here. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to migrate, use this little arrow here, you're going to migrate the user state over to this new machine, okay? So you can basically set up the new OS. So I set up the new OS over here. So we'll say new Windows installed over here, right? And then at that point, I can back up state using scan state. And that, of course, is going to be done on old PC, right? And then at that point, you can do a restore state, load state, right, on the new PC, all right? And so that's the idea. And of course, you could have done this step here before you did that step. It really doesn't matter. Main thing is, before you do this step here, you do have to have the new operating system set up on that other machine. So hopefully you can see why that's called a side-by-side migration, because you're actually going to keep the old computer in place as you do that migration. Now the benefit too, the person is getting a new computer, so new hardware and all that. And one of the main reasons for doing that is the user's getting new hardware, right? So you're getting a new computer, a new operating system, but their big concern is, what about all of my data? Is my data going to make it over there to me? Do this new machine, what am I going to do? Well, with the help of this strategy here, you are basically able to leave that old computer you can leave it going, in fact, actually just migrate everything over, and then you just shut it down. And the great thing about it is, if things don't work as well as you planned on this new machine, you still have the old machine as a backup for a while, and then you can decommission this old machine after a while, once everything is, of course, going smoothly on this new machine. Okay, so that is the idea of going through this process of migration and the concept of rebuilding. So what is rebuilding? Rebuilding is having to rebuild everything from scratch. The big thing about having this migration is you backed everything up. Now, of course, if a user was to lose their machine, let's say the machine got corrupted, you lost the hard drive died, nothing was backed up. Sadly, you would have to rebuild everything from the ground up. You'd have to, set up a new operating system, and the user would have lost all their data. Now, there's ways around that, and I'm not getting into all the details in this video, but Microsoft has some cloud solutions like OneDrive and all of that for backing up users' data and having all their data backed up to the cloud. It's a wonderful thing, because you could literally lose your whole hard drive and you're still in business. I've actually experienced that before. I use the cloud-based solutions for backing up. And now, granted, I use, in my case, this happened with Dropbox for me, because I was using Dropbox before OneDrive ever came out. But I had that situation happen on one of my laptops where I literally just had a hard drive that just died. it just died. There was not really much of a recovery. I mean, short of maybe hiring a forensics expert to try to recover some of my data, there's not anything I could have done. That hard drive was dead. But I had all of my critical information being synced to Dropbox. Now, it's the same idea with OneDrive, right? So if I did have a process, so in my case, I went out and I got a new hard drive and all that, and I had to rebuild. I had to put, the new operating system on there and all that, but everything was installed in the cloud, so I was able to do a restore. So that cloud-based solution is a great way to protect you from having to rebuild. But the idea of a migration is backing everything up, having that backup, and then when I'm now ready to do a restore, I can do a restore. And you're going to use the user state migration tool. And that's really the concepts that I need you to understand right now. Just understand what a wipe and load migration is versus a side-by-side migration. And if you got that down, then that's all I really need you to get down in this video. Hey, this is John Christopher. I hope you enjoyed getting to experience a little bit of this course, and I hope you'll join me on the full adventure. If you'll check the description of this video, you'll see a link that'll show you how you can get access to the full course. Now, in the full course, you're going to learn how to set up a practice environment where you can practice hands-on, and I'm going to provide you with lots of virtual simulations that you can do 24/7. All you need is a web browser. So I hope you'll join me, and I hope you'll also give me a like and subscribe. I'm trying very, very hard to get this channel to build and grow, and so I hope you'll take the time to do that.